Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Lucia Arden again. I just want to say I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to show you what I heard today in this beautiful speech of Pope Leo the 14th. It's lined up with my work that I've worked on for years, but the new book that I wrote, In God's Power, America Save Our Legacy, and it's also in God's Power, Country Save Our Legacy. And so I want to show you the beautiful information that he told us, and because I want to be a part of our people in humanity, and my work has been a part of our people in humanity for solutions and restoration and empowerment. And I'm so excited to show you. When I saw the Mass online, I noticed that it lined up with things that I spoke about in my book. And it shows how all of us, when we have the mustard seed of love, that we could bring miracles. So I wanted to show you the beautiful work that he's doing now.
One that does not see.
This is Pope Leo the 14th.
Consensus at all costs. Does not use aggressive words. Does not follow the culture of...
And he's talking about journalism, that when we write something, we need to write in proper communication, which I'll show you in my work that I talk about. Communication is at the top of the list to achieve justice and to bring restoration and miracle.
competition and never separates the search for truth from the love with which we must humbly seek it. Peace begins with each one of us in the way we look at others.
Peace begins with each one of us. It's so beautiful. And this is true. We know, even when we do our work every day and when we want to change things, if we awareness that things need to be corrected, like I noticed RFK on the news said he was going to see what he could do about this chemical spraying, because chemical spraying, I've seen it in Italy, and I've seen it in Cyprus, I've seen it in Greece, I've seen it in America, and I've seen it in Germany. We need to take care of this. But let's go on.
Listen to others and speak about others. In this sense, the way we communicate is of fundamental importance. We must say no to the war of words and images. We must reject.
See, the way we communicate is the main example that we need to do. It's a very, very important. And because words is actually our first form of communication, of action. The words, the voice becomes out of our mouth, just as Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit created, and wisdom was there in the heavens when they created humans and all creation. He did it. God did it by His voice. Let's go on.
The paradigm of war.
Permettetemi allora di ribadire oggi la solidarietà della Chiesa.
Let me therefore reiterate today the Church's solidarity with journalists who are imprisoned for seeking and reporting the truth, while also asking for their release.
And this is why it's very important to have, it's essential to have truth through words of communication and not censorship.
E con queste parole anche chiedere la liberazione di questi giornalisti incarcerati.
And with these words also ask for these imprisoned journalists' release.
La Chiesa riconosce in questi testimoni.
The Church recognizes in these witnesses, I'm thinking of those who report on war, even at the cost of their lives, the courage of those who defend dignity, justice, and the right of people to be informed.
informati
because only informed individuals can make free choices.
See, only informed individuals can make free choices, and excellent. That's what we're doing with America and across the world, with protecting our nation's geopolitical issues and so forth. And that is my calling, is to inform others as an advocate, an advisor, a consultant for many years, to look at things hindsight and correct them. Thank you. Let's go on.
la sofferenza di questi giornalisti
The suffering of these imprisoned journalists challenges the conscience of nations and the international community, calling on all of us to safeguard the precious gift of free speech and of the press.
See, free speech is essential,
Thank
but
you, dear
in
friends,
peace, not in
for your
protesting.
service to the truth.
Service to the truth, not in protesting against America or against our country's tradition, but standing up in free speech when we want to protect our traditions, protect our countries, but not protesting against our countries. This is very important.
voi siete stati a Roma in queste settimane per raccontare
You have been in Rome these past few weeks to report on the church, her diversity, and at the same time, her unity. You were present during the liturgies of Holy Week, and then reported on the sorrow felt after the death of Pope Francis.
avvenuta
Which, nevertheless, took place in the light of Easter.
pasquale ci ha
That
introdotto
same Easter faith drew us into the spirit of the conclave,
particolarmente impegnati
during which you worked long and tiring days.
anche in questa occasione
Yet even on this occasion,
di narrare
you managed to recount the beauty of Christ's love that unites and makes us one people,
guidato dal buon
guided by the Good Shepherd.
See the beauty in Christ's love. Christ, he came on earth to bring peace. And sometimes peace could separate families, individuals, even nations, but it's necessary to bring the peace. And then when people wake up and see the truth with correct communication, we could bring a miracle and come into unity in God's love in the people.
viviamo
We are living in times that are both difficult to navigate and to recount.
rappresentano una sfida
They present a challenge for all of us, but it is one that we should not run away from. On the contrary, they demand that each one of us, in our different roles and services, never give in to mediocrity.
la Chiesa deve
The Church
accettare
must face the challenges posed by the times.
non possono
In the
esistere
same way,
comunicazione
We could never give up mediocrity. We always have to seek the truth and justice. And this is what we are doing in America, even though there's issues. In the meantime, we have more justice flourishing with all the actions we've taken to bring justice and truth through proper communication and truth of facts.
communication and journalism does not exist outside of time and history.
Agostino che dice
St. Augustine reminds us of this when he said,
i tempi
"Let
saranno
us live well, and the times will be good. We are the times."
dunque di grazie dunque di
Thank
quanto
you,
avete
therefore,
fatto
for what you have done to move beyond the stereotypes and cliches
diciamo
through which we often interpret
vita della Chiesa
Christian life and the life of the Church itself.
cogliere l'essenziale di quel che siamo
Thank you because you have captured the essence of who we are and conveyed it to the whole world through every form of media possible.
è quella di promuovere una comunicazione capace di farci uscire dalla torre
Today, one of the most important challenges
che ci troviamo.
is to promote communication that can bring us out of the Tower of Babel, in which we sometimes find ourselves, out of the confusion of loveless languages that are often ideological or partisan.
Il vostro servizio con le parole
Therefore,
che usate,
your service with the word
That's right. The loveless languages that are often ideological bias, which those are discussions without facts and without justice, which our own America has had in the past, and now we are making justice through President Trump's team, and also all the other countries are coming to realization they need to protect their traditions, all the way from UK to Sweden to Canada to Australia to France. They're all coming together and standing up for their tradition to protect all their legacy, and not ideological controls of another tradition coming in, but their legacy of truth, of life, of their family, of their nation, of communication they've had that's built their nations from the ground up that they could never forget. This is Lucia Arden. Let's go on.
words you use and the style you adopt is crucial. As you know, communication is not only the transmission of information, but it is also the creation of a culture of human and digital environments that become spaces for dialogue and discussion. In looking at how technology is developing, this mission becomes ever more necessary. I'm thinking in particular of artificial intelligence with its immense potential, which nevertheless requires responsibility and discernment in order to ensure that it can be used for the good of all.
And this is very important to computerize AI. AI doesn't always tell the truth. You know, it's a conglomeration of information that human beings has entered into the computer that may not be true, and also math of a collection of ideas from statistics in math. And so sometimes AI is not true, and it doesn't have a soul. So I believe it can't really tell you the first substance of being of pure ideas. It has to come from humans, not AI.
So that it can benefit all of humanity. This responsibility concerns everyone in proportion to his or her age and role in society.
Impareremo con il tempo a conoscerci meglio.
Dear friends, we will get to know each other better over time.
Giorni davvero
We have experienced, we can say together, truly special days.
con ogni mezzo di
We have shared them through every form of media, TV, radio, internet, and social media.
che ognuno di
I sincerely hope that each of us can say that these days unveiled a little bit of the mystery of our humanity and left us with a desire for love and peace. This reason,
See, love and peace.
invitation made by Pope Francis in his message for this year's World Day of Social Communications.
Well, today is
Let us
social
disarm
communication.
communication of all prejudice and resentment, fanaticism, and even hatred.
We need to come
Let us
together.
free it from aggression. We do not need loud, forceful communication, but rather a communication that is capable of listening. Vision Networks USA, Atma Darshan TV, Catholic TV, and Luminous Radio in India.
See, to listen.
Welcome all of you
To listen.
focus on local broadcast and diocesan broadcasting radio
That-
stations. And a warm welcome to all of our friends from the Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas, DCYIA. And for
That's beautiful, to listen to each other. And sometimes it's difficult for all of us, but we need to enlist in justice and great communication. And so I want to show you my work that that I've done to show you what the work I've done with these topics that we're talking about. One moment, please. This is Lucia Arden, and I'm going to show you my book that I wrote recently I wrote 3 books recently. One of them is called In God's Power, America Save Our. And it's also In God's Power, Country Save Our Legacy. And this is very essential. And so I want to go on and show you the work that I've done. And this is a sweet children's book about salvation for all. And it shows all the different languages of the relationship with God. So I wanted to show you this book here. And for some reason, they're holding me back. So I don't want to have any problems, but we're going to continue doing this. Well, I'm looking for this. Look at this, Pillars of Powers and Paradigm. Look at that work there that I've done. It's a special chart that talks about why we need to understand good communication, because things have changed. There's Pillars of Paradigm. Here it is. So I apologize. They finally allowed me to get in. They finally allowed me to get in, and I apologize. This is what they do to me, and that's why I don't even, I can't even show my face. I have to do it this way. We need to do proper communications in life. Communication already, and when we had the CCP virus, they used communication to try to separate the people under the communistic regime and world control regime of Biden and the Democrat elite communists. So we need to realize we always need to communicate properly with each other and not allow our country to stop communication. Communication is a birthright for us to have. It's a language of birth spirituality. Integrating communication is a truth of living of justice, responsibility. And that shows, like in the beginning, one of the most severe times in our history of humanity is the discommunication under the Holocaust. And so in other Holocausts that in other countries that we see, but God, Christ, humanity, family, faith, social happiness, tradition, well-being, and reality, those are the freedoms of the neutrality of the state authority and the questions of the worldviews guarantee the same ethical freedom to every citizen. And this is very important, that we need to have proper communication. The mind in nature that we have to have is the case of beauty to beauty, is the motion of communication of nature. That's the way nature is that it has beauty to beauty in motion of communication of nature. This is very important. And Anaxagoras talked about that. He is a philosopher. It's the mind in nature. So in the mind in nature, when we prepare communication, we want to make beauty to beauty, because when we speak, it brings life. It brings truth. It brings happiness. Or it says in the Bible verses, says communication, the words of the tongue could bring life or death, but we want to bring life. And even if there is words that are wrong, we could forgive and reconcile and still go on. That shows even in America, what they've done to America and to try to destroy her, and wrote words down and spoke words. We are healing and restoring America and our countries. And I can see all the beautiful traditions. They want to come back and protect Sweden wants to protect their traditions. France, Germany, all the areas, Africa, all the countries, Australia, need to take back their traditions, and UK, and love the people that need a home, but again, bring beauty to beauty of communication, of the motion of nature, not to try to control and take away what the land and the people built of their tradition, but to bring beauty to beauty. And this is proper communication. It's very important that we realize the authentic, actually Pope Benedicto, recent writings use the words authentic freedom, and this is what we need. This is the freedom of each individual as a human being living their authentic self. And that's what communication will bring when we listen, what Pope Leo the 14th says, listening, and when we listen and then listen in contemplation of justice, we can help that person be that authentic, have that authentic freedom, and I call it the authentic self. And the authentic freedom is justice for human beings, and this is what we need for not just communities, but each individuals in this time, for the children to be protected, the families protected under the love of God, of justice. And this is very important, of love. And we talk about there's Dr. Karl Jaspers, he was at the time of Hitler, and he was a great mind that came together and helped the Germans relive the love of God and build their truth. And there was always a question of German guilt, but they covered that with God's love and the authentic freedom. And this is Dr. Jaspers. He actually was a German, and he was married to a Jew, but he had to run and take his Jewish wife from Germany and then come back after Hitler was gone. So he talks about the justice in communication is a way to wisdom. He talks about this. This is beautiful. He is a champion, a form of governance that guarantee individual freedom and limited government, yet was rooted in authentic tradition and guided by intellectual elite. So this is what actually our beautiful man spoke about, which I will talk about that we don't want to have government control, but we want the authentic tradition to keep the authentic tradition of our traditions and not have another government or another Islamic tradition to take over our countries. We need to keep our countries and be a champion of working together as a form of governance together of individual freedom and limited government. And that's what we want to do in America and across the world. And we need to bring it's dialectic secularization. I wrote about that. Is to bring illumination with urgency for the world of humanity, of reason and authentic tradition, of religious moral precepts, which is important. We can never go away because the religious moral precepts have the highest justice, and they really come from the ethics of Nicodean ethics and Aristotle ethics that were before Christ. And so we need to come together in individual freedom in the world that have principles of justice, yet coming together in limited government, which is so important. And Dr. Theodore Jaspers, he was the time, I'll repeat, of when Hitler was took over Germany. And this is why we cannot have Islamic regimes or discommunication or one world government take over our countries like a Nazi Germany Hitler did. Did you understand? This is very important. And so we need to keep all the beautiful, the way to wisdom is so beautiful. And that's, the Germans has redeemed themselves. They've let so many, they let so many people in their country and helped many immigrants. But on the other hand, we need to keep the traditions of the beautiful German people. So this is very important. We need to come together in love and understanding. and take responsibility of our people and justice, of love. And so this is what we talk about, and this is what our beautiful Pope Leo the 14th talks about. And now we're going to talk about the war, that he talks about war. So let's get to it about war. There should be no wars. We actually don't need wars. I'm the one that talked about to bring commodities and lease easement lands and share that and give those tools to stop war. And I was the initial negotiator of giving the idea of the advisor to Zelensky and Putin even, and President Trump. And so they used my idea, you could see on my Facebook. But we need no wars. We need to realize that there's actually wars are not just wars of military wars, there's other wars on the people of starting viruses, of CCP viruses, and weathering controls, chemical spray, EMFs, and many other controls, food controls, pharmaceutical controls, and we got government spending controls, which we're taking care of all these things, which we need to. And I'm asking all countries to come together to protect us from chemical spray, that we need to make new laws, and we need to get those new laws also with the hostages. It's a war on the people of the hostages that need to be taken care of. There is more immense evil than the world powers that control internationally with the United States of America. There are evils of Iran, ISIS, Hamas, and secret allies of Iran. And that's why we know that we always said that we were controlled by the families of America. But no, now we have a greater evil, or a greater power that is also Iran, ISIS, and Hamas, that we have to be very, very careful. These are geopolitical powers of China, Iran, and other secret friends together. You saw that China and Iran are coming together, and Russia. So, but we could make this work in the hands and power of God. We actually have a covenant with God. America does in 1774, and I talked about that the covenant of God with God, a prayer that we would give our life to God in Jesus Christ, and He would protect us. But the thing is it's a war on our country. When they had open borders, why would they ever have let all those peoples in when we had so many? One of every 4 or 5 children are living in poverty, and we have so many problems with CCP. Homeless, so many homeless. They could have brought them in legally, not just let them all in, and they didn't realize about the geopolitical powers of the problems. It's a very serious thing, and I've talked about all these things. About these communications and the wars on people. In 2007, I talked about microplastics. In 2000, foods and health, and toxins and chemical spray, and sufficient economy. 2016, geopolitical problems, and pharmaceuticals. And in 2011 and 2010, I asked to check all the offices. I've been working on this for many years, and this is communication we could never forget. And but war is also war on the people. Are you with me? And it's a very important thing. And so we need to realize that we have to have our, as I said, our 3 points that are important to protect for communication and to safety, because communication is a direction of a mission and a relationship between you and the people and you in the situation, and then you have an action on your communication, that we need to have protection and treaty of nuclear and safety, and then we have to protect our borders and keep our traditions, and 3, a self-sufficient nation. And so that's why we need to protect our borders. We can't, because there's geopolitical powers now, and Pope Leo the 14th said, he said, it's all about awareness, communication. Is that exciting? And so we need to tell the truth. And just like he said about the censorship, so we have to have truth in our communication. So we can't have corporate censorship. And this is very important. So we can't have world powers starting wars, world economic and world health controls. And this is what RFK is working on, President Trump and the team, which I asked before they went in, and I asked Elon Musk to come in to check all the offices. So this is very important that we need, there's a war on our economy. So, so President Trump and other countries want to make, as I asked, because the BRICS, so they're not trading any oil or gold or commodities with dollars anymore, except the G7. So we need to make a plan, which we are. So we're trading in Bitcoin and are going to be able to have that. It's all in the banks now, but I still believe that we should keep the dollar. But we'll see what they do there. So this is very important. So there's wars, so many wars. There's wars on the people. Why would they bring, that's what I said, why would Biden Kamala bring, because I wrote this before President Trump got in, but it didn't get published till after. Unfortunately, it was controlled. But why would they bring all the people in without legal, because just like Mr. Fink said, we need immigrants to do our agriculture, to bring them legally in though, is that why there was 170,000 people lost their homes of home foreclosures alone. And the thing is that in $83 billion in damages in North Carolina, they needed home, which President Trump is taking care of. President Trump is helping with people getting back into their homes. This is why would they do that when we had so many problems with the CCP virus and many people lost their homes. And today, 884 million families in America lost their homes. It's terrible. Today, there are 84 million families in America and 170,000 homes lost because of the pandemic. I don't call it the pandemic. I believe it was started from the communist China and other people regarding, and then the billionaire cartels. We have to make people aware, like Pope Leo said, the 14th, that we need to make people aware that there are cartels. There's 9 cartels that are billionaires that we can't allow them to control. So with the fentanyl thing and the homelessness, and they use the immigrants themselves and the little citizens, little children. Let's go on. Why are wars? World health control, world economic controls, borders, safety, children's trafficking, and children bringing danger to immigrants in America. This is terrible. And we need to take care and make negotiation to stop the war. I see that Zelensky and Putin are going to come together in Turkey, which I asked, and stop the war, and also Netanyahu and Hamas. But he's fighting at all sides. Lebanon, Hamas, Syria, and it's very serious. And we need to let those hostages go as soon as possible. So this is what it shows, that we're coming together, and when we have friendships and love of other family and people, we could bring much together. But when we have wars, we lose so much. You use your past legacy, your beginning initial legacy, your past legacy, your present legacy, your future legacy. They're all lost when you have war. This is why we need to come together right away, and we need to make new rules about hostages, new regulations, international meeting about wars, because it's a geopolitical powers and problems of this time in the world. There's geopolitical powers, not like 20 years ago. So let's come together and show that we need to come together in peace and reconciliation. And I want to look at this pillars of power and why we need to make changes. There's a pillar of technology, and this is communication. I'm showing you the proper communication of justice to bring love and to bring unity with the people that is under God's jurisdiction of his love and his ethics and his truth. So we need to realize there's a pillar of technology, information systems very high, but we need the pillars of regulations of law as low, that needs to be changed. We need to protect it. And that's why President Trump and his team is protecting the borders. Patel, Bondi, Christie, Noam, all Besson with the tariffs, which I also talked about tariffs in my books, and the police and the borders. All this needs to be changed, and the foods RFK's talking about, and the EMFs and the chemical spray and the foods and the agriculture. This is very important. In the children's school, and no woke systems to protect the children and family. And then there's the pillar, I say the pillar on earth and heaven of God, that's so high. That's where I believe we get our pillar of life, and the pillar of existence of daily life of all the people, that we need to come together. That's globalization, multiculturalism, all immigration, migration, that we need to come together. So we, in the pillar of power, of world powers, of government, that we need, the government needs to make sure that they protect the traditions of the original country and savor countries, and not be overtaken by Islamic regimes or a new tradition, but keep the beauty of the tradition when the people want it. UK wants to keep their country, their traditions, their British traditions. France does. They want to. Australia, America, Canada, all the people, Italy, Germany, all those countries want to keep their countries safe. The Philippines, the Taiwan doesn't want to be taken over by China. And so but we need ethics, just like Pope Leo the 14th talks about. We need justice. Justice is ethics. Ethics are God's precepts. There's massive movements and controls that we have to be careful. Geopolitical power, geopolitical economy, the G7 and BRICS of 50 countries, which there's more. The BRICS is going to be 123 are signed up, and they're waiting for the wait list. That's what we need to protect our country. And through communication and justice, we're going to do this on the action of our communication with sound documents of action and action of missions that we're doing in America. Technology, globalization, there's 9 billionaire criminal cartels. We need to protect ourselves and all these other people involved. So this is what it's called, the pillars of paradigms of power. And we need to come together in truth and love and sweetness and kindness. I appreciate your time. This is Lucia Arden. This is the book, In God's Power, America Save Your Legacy. In God's Power, Countries Save Your Legacy. Thank you so much. This is Lucia Arden. I'll be happy to speak to you and work together with you. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm very grateful